All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to step out of the macro markets for a minute and go micro and Micron into earnings exchange. And today, we've got the action, the story, and the trade on two names reporting after the bell, the aforementioned Micron and Nike. Let's start with Nike first. Stock is down 42% year to date. The street's going to be watching for any impact and commentary surrounding currency headwinds, as well as consumer demand in Europe and China. Courtney Reagan has the story. Lee Munson has the trade. He is president and CIO at Portfolio Wealth Advisors. Courtney, let us start with you. I mean, the stock's gotten crushed. How's the outlook?
Yeah, you know, Brian, obviously Nike is a very, very strong brand the world over, but it's not immune from macroeconomic pressures. And so we're really going to want to hear a lot of details about how Nike, frankly, is dealing with the impact of inflation, both on running its business and what that means for consumers that are faced with higher cost of goods that they have to buy, and what that means for what they're willing to buy with their discretionary dollars. The strong dollar is also something that's really in focus in the analyst and investor community. FactSet estimates that only about a third of Nike's revenues come from the United States, so from a dollar-denominated area, and everything else then, of course, has to have this FX translation. And so we're really concerned about what that means for Nike this quarter. Inventory, of course, a big focus for retailers across the board. We know their direct-to-consumer business is getting stronger, but what about their wholesale business? The sell-through of Nike shoes and other products at other retailers that are having to discount a lot of other goods. What does that mean for sales of Nike? So there's so many things that we need to think about here, Brian, for this quarter, but it's always so informative when we hear from Nike because they give us this global perspective on business and on the global consumer.
Yep, and we're going to see those numbers after the bell. Lee Munson, what's your trade on Nike? I mean, at some point, the stock has to stop going down. It's not going to zero.
Probably. I mean, come on, Nike's a great brand.
It's not going to zero, Lee.
No, I mean, come on. I mean, I've been buying Air Jordan since 1984, 1985. People need these because people work out, they do things. It's a great brand. But here's the thing. When you look at, say, like a 2-year chart, go back to that chart back in 2020, it's back to the scene of the crime, as a friend of mine likes to say, where we're right at the level where it broke out, you know, the summer of 2020 after we knew we weren't going to, all die from COVID. But here's the thing. If you're buying it today, you've got to buy it not as a trade. You've got to buy it more as a intermediate to longer term hold. I think it would be fine to buy it today. I'd like to see how earnings come out, but you just buy it. If you want to have a position in Nike, buy half tomorrow after you hear the call and just dollar cost average in over the next few months. But this is a longer term hold. You're getting the opportunity to buy the worst from first. It's like dogs of the Dow. Right? You're buying the worst performer in the Dow thinking that you're going to mean revert. So if you love bottom fishing and you want to buy a good growth company that's not going to go out of business, take your shot now. There's a lot worse companies that you could buy, which we're about to talk about.
We got one more coming up. Courtney, thank you very much. I know you got Courtney, got those earnings tonight. We'll see much more of Courtney all through the day. All right, next up is Micron. Stock's down 46% year to date, making Nike look pretty good, right? The entire semiconductor industry tries to regain its footing, all amid supply chain snarls and a weakening consumer. Christina Partsenevelos joining us now with that story. Rough year for Micron investors.
Yeah, especially because they pre-announced in August, and it was a negative pre-announcement. Street wasn't expecting to be as negative, and now the big question is maybe it wasn't negative enough. There are 3 themes that we're going to be looking for within this earnings report. The first one being the price of memory chips. We've seen that actually decline for quite some time. So will that plunge continue? So the duration of that memory price plunge. The second point, too, is an inventory correction. We've already seen it with PC and smartphone sales, I should say. And now we're starting to see these signs within the data center, auto, as well as industrial. And then last but not least, we already had the company in August say that they were going to reduce CapEx meaningfully. But will they continue to reduce CapEx at the same time when they are planning on spending billions of dollars on building fabs in the United States? How are they going to do this simultaneously? Can they keep their free cash flow? Or I guess the consensus, I've read a few reports actually thinks that full year free cash flow is going to be negative. So these are all little points that we're going to be paying attention to once the earnings come out and the call's at 4:30. Yeah,
trying to look at some of the valuation metrics on the stock here.
The analyst reports, though, are all over from like positive to negative. It seems like nobody knows what's going on.
That's a
good enough sign. Well, yeah.
They don't know. They know nothing. No, I mean, if you have, Lee, You're still there. Hi, Lee. If you have all these analysts that are wildly all over the place, I mean, these are all smart people, right? They're CFAs. They all went to Fuqua at Duke, right? The business school. Fuqua. And they can't figure it out. That's a warning sign.
You only have one job.
One job.
The company makes it one job, right?
Fuqua.
I don't think
it's my Wordle starting word every day. Fuqua.
They do some good research. Let's give it up for them as well.
Just not any chance I can to knock Duke.
Stock. I don't want to own this stock. Management already came out a couple months ago. Again, they said, we've got problems, and we continue to have supply chain problems. Here's the thing, how you have to look at it going forward. They make this special type, and I love Micron. Come on, they're a U.S.-based company. They're out in Boise. We want to be cheering for the home team. But they make this particular type of flash memory that they use in iPhones and smartphones, and there's some real problems about where that growth is going forward. Unlike Nike, this company has problems. Management keeps trying to call Wall Street and saying it's worse than we think, and then it comes to find out it's worse than even they think it's going to be. So if you have to trade this stock because there's a gun to your head and it's raining outside in Florida and you can't get to a casino, I would rather waste money, throw it down a pie hole and buy some put options you're going to lose, or do like some sort of ridiculous degenerate gambler short strangle where you buy a put and you buy a call and you just think nobody knows what's going to happen, but there's going to be fireworks in some direction. And even better, why not we say we did that and then don't?
Wait, just 2 points, though. Don't you think the stock is pretty cheap right now? And then the second point is maybe a long-term hold, given the fact that they're going to say, forget just the storage market. We are going to be at the forefront when it comes to 5G and AI, which a lot of companies still have yet to adopt, and Micron could benefit.
Certainly, but here's the thing. One of my good friends was a retired portfolio manager, and he always tells me you buy semis when they're banging the trash cans, and you can buy them at half to 0.8 book value. We're still at 1.1 book value.
Yeah.
When you can buy Micron for 80 cents of what you could do for selling all the equipment, then I'm a buyer. So my answer is, I do believe that, but I think it's going to get worse. Whereas Nike, I might sit in it getting worse, but you can get so hurt with semiconductors. Wait until it's so much worse than we think today. I think there's still downside. Just be patient.
Hard to be patient and down that much, but Lee, it's a very good point. It's a very good point. Christina, always good points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.